Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Custis, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hello, and welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Custis, and I am so glad you're here today. Today, we're going to be talking about something that feels extra tender this time of year, and that is gratitude and grace. Now, before you roll your eyes and you think, oh, great, it's another episode about gratitude, because I know a lot's being talked about with gratitude these days. I promise you, this one's going to be a little bit different. We're not going to be talking about that, Pinterest perfect version of gratitude. We're not going to be talking about a forced list of gratitude, okay? This is going to go a little bit deeper. We are going to really talk about what it means to let go of expectations, also to surrender to grace and find peace right where you are, because after all, it is the season of being thankful. We're just reminded of that in this season. And I have to tell you that, truth be told, anyone who knows me knows that this season is my absolute favorite. Ever since I was a little girl, I just love the crisp air. I always talk about that, especially where I live. So again, I always say I'm a fall and winter girly, but I'm a fall and winter girly in the desert, Southern California environment, right? So it's a little bit different, you guys. It's more like probably your spring, right? Or something similar to that if you live in different parts of the country. But I just love the warmth of gatherings. I love all of it. But here is the other truth to that, is that if I'm being honest, the only person who really got this part of me was my grandma. Now I'm talking about when I was growing up. It was kind of like everybody else. They liked the season. Okay. They liked it, but they definitely didn't love it the way that her and I did or do. And because she is still here with us. So that's what's really interesting, because I realize now that most of the adults in my world were just probably very stressed out at the time. They didn't know how to slow down and how to tend to the season and everything that it brings. Especially, my mom was a single mom and she was doing the best that she could for the majority of my growing up years. So she always made the holidays beautiful, but I always felt like there was a little bit of a heaviness to it. And there was a lot of pressure and expectation. And then, of course, for the first 20 years of my adult life, I was married to someone who really struggled with the holidays, and it became this very tricky emotional space for me. It was heartbreaking because every year I would tell myself, this one's going to be different. If I just plan more, if I decorate better, if I have things, all lined up ahead of time, if I cook the perfect meal, if I do all these things, then everyone's going to be happy. But no matter how much I tried, the same pattern played out. And every time I was left disappointed, I was left hurt. And I hate to admit this, but I was resentful, because I know now that I was focusing on the wrong thing. I was trying to create this piece on the outside without really understanding it on the inside first. So I always thought if I made everybody else happy, I would finally feel the magic of the holidays that I had been chasing since I was this little girl. But what I didn't realize is that gratitude isn't something you can force through perfection. Gratitude actually comes from surrender, okay? From grace. And I had to learn the hard way that I couldn't change other people. I couldn't control their moods. I couldn't control their reactions or how they showed up, right? And I'm not talking about just to the holiday events. I'm talking about just in the season. Depression is very real during the fall and winter season for many reasons in regards to the heaviness of it, the weather, but then also because of the holidays, there becomes another layer of that financially, the burden, the stress, loss of, people, grief, all of that. So going back, the only thing I could do was tend to my own heart, and that took grace. It took grace for them, and it also took grace for me. And there were years that I was doing it all. I was doing the shopping, the wrapping, the cooking, but I was doing a lot of pretending. And again, on the inside, I was heartbroken. I remember one year standing in the kitchen, and I always hosted. I shouldn't say always, but many times I had hosted, especially when we had kids. And I was surrounded by all this noise and all the things going on, and realizing that even though I was doing everything to make it perfect, I wasn't even getting to be present that day. And as a mom, the pressure grew even more because I didn't want to miss out on any of the moments. I wanted to create all the magic for my kids. But looking back now, I can see that what really mattered wasn't just how much I did, it was how I felt while I was doing it. And then that's where grace started to enter the story. And that's when, after my husband and I had split up, the kids were still fairly little. My daughter was in middle school and my son was in, gosh, kindergarten. Even before that, goodness, I'm really going back. He was like preschool. And I started to realize that grace really began to teach me that peace doesn't come from the control. It comes from the gratitude in the morning, right away, and throughout the moments throughout the day. And it came from me releasing the expectations and realizing that the magic isn't in the perfection, it was in the presence. Because let me tell you, everything changed when it was just the three of us. Everything changed. So my lens changed. So after years of chasing that perfect holiday feeling, I finally realized something. Gratitude and grace are not things you feel when life gets easy. They're things you practice when life feels heavy. And that shift for me changed all of it. So today, what I want to do is I want to share some truths. I want to share some takeaways that helped me move kind of from this chaos to calm. And I hope that it will do the same for you. You might find different parts of this resonating with you. So, first of all, number one is always about expectation versus experience. Okay, this is huge. When we live in expectation, my husband has taught me this so much in life right now, every day. When we live in expectation, we rob ourselves of experience. And this is what I mean. For so many years, I went into the holidays thinking this year will finally feel the way I want it to. I expected all this peace to happen. I expected this joy to happen. I expected everyone to be on their best behavior. And when they weren't, I lost it. But when you release that expectation and lean into just the experience, something starts to shift a little bit. You start noticing the laughter inside of the messiness. You see the beauty in the imperfection, and you get to start to breathe a little bit more. Because when we're expecting, what we're actually doing is we're controlling. But when we are experiencing something, we're actually connecting to it. And that's what happened when I became a single mom. I was like, oh my gosh, everything is changing. It felt so sad and it felt so heavy. But yet at the same time, I released the expectation. And all of a sudden, I began to experience and I began to connect more. So this season, try saying to yourself, I'm here for the experience, not the expectation. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more because sometimes that's not always easy. So we're going to dive into that a little bit more a little later on in the episode because here's the thing, the moment that you allow things to unfold without controlling every single detail, the gratitude actually starts to naturally find its way because it can't, this is my opinion, I don't feel like it can coexist with control only when we surrender to it. Because if we're trying to control it, it's going to make it really, really challenging and we're not in the moment. Okay. So speaking of not a moment, gratitude is a practice. This is number 2. Gratitude is a practice. It's not a moment. This is where it's a little different. And this one is really big because it's not something, gratitude isn't something that just happens once in a while. It's a muscle you build. There's so many muscles we have to build, you guys. Right? I used to think that gratitude was just writing down a few things in November, like, oh, this is November, it's gratitude month, or saying a little prayer on Thanksgiving. Maybe every once in a while just going, gosh, I'm just so grateful for this, which those are all great things. But the truth is, it has to become a daily rhythm if we really want it to transform us. And I'm all about the transformation. And this is what I teach in the Glow Up community and in our Rise to Shine community. It's habit stacking. It's where you attach a new little habit to something you already do every day. I was taught by some of the greats, and I can recommend so many great books for you. If you want to know, reach out because I'm telling you, these are what's cool about the habit stacking. So if you're drinking your morning coffee, take the first sip and say out loud one thing you're grateful for, or say it in your head. Just make it a practice. That's what habit stacking is. It's micro habits. If you have a skincare routine at night as you wash your face, think of one thing that went right today. These are habit stacking. If you drive to work or you drop your kids off, use that drive to list 3 small wins in your head. These are the things that start to transform you when you start to create these habits. Journals aren't even technically required here for a practice in gratitude. They can be, and I love them, but it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to be really present in it. Because here's the key, the consistency is what makes gratitude powerful. Because you don't want to wait until you feel grateful to say, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. You practice it until it becomes who you are. And here's the best part, gratitude starts to rewire your brain. Over time, what it does is it starts to train your mind to look for what's good, even when things are not perfect. And that is what I love. That is what the transformation is, you guys. That's when changes in your life start to happen from the inside out. You're not waiting to say thank you for something that you're grateful for. It is a practice that you are becoming, and it becomes who you are. And let me tell you, you guys, if I could say one thing, if I were to take back time and I could tell you one thing, one piece of advice, it would be to start a gratitude practice because that has been the most life-changing for me. Truly, truly. Okay, number 3, grace is the glue. And this one might be one of the most important because grace is where, or I should say, grace is what holds it all together. Goodness, right? Grace says you can be grateful and tired at the same exact time. You can love your family and still need space from them. That is okay. That is grace. You can want peace and still lose your patience sometimes. Grace, here's the beauty of grace. It gives you permission to be human and to let others be human too. I think that's my favorite part. Grace is one of my, I always say grace and joy are such favorite words, and the meaning behind it means so much to me. But here's where I was like, I've got to get really real in this episode because for a lot of people, this season is really hard. And pretending that it's not doesn't help anyone. So you could be in a position where you're surrounded by people who don't love the holidays or who you're walking through something that makes joy feel really complicated. Maybe you're in a relationship where this time of year brings a lot of tension. It could be for me, and so I can totally relate. It could be around money. It could be about emotions, expectations. A lot of grief is held in this season. So let's be real. Let's not sugarcoat it and pretend like, oh, if I just have a little gratitude and I have some grace, everything's going to be great. Oh no, things were so flipping heavy for me for 20 years. So heavy. No matter how much I tried to change it. But what I didn't know how to do was to change me in that. I was just trying to be the people person, right? Or the people pleaser. So the thing about grace is it allows you to meet others where they are without losing yourself in the process. Because you can hold compassion for someone else's pain and still protect your own peace. I want you to hear that. You can have empathy, but you can still have boundaries. You're allowed to have those. You're allowed to have peace. And here's the thing, because this is something to hold on to, grace without boundaries. So let me just say this too. Grace without boundaries becomes, hear me out, self-abandonment. And boundaries without grace can also become walls. My counselor shared that with me years ago. Grace without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. And boundaries without grace can become walls. Do you fall into that at all? Because here's the sweet spot, the space where you will truly just shine is somewhere kind of in the middle. And that's when you say things like, I love you and I understand that this might be hard for you, but I'm still showing up in gratitude. Oh, I didn't know how to do that. Man, if things started to go down, it would be a blowout fight. Or it would be passiveness or passive aggressiveness. Like, whew, even thinking about it takes me back. But what it is it's giving others permission to be where they are while still staying grounded in who you are. So it doesn't mean that you let them walk all over you or your peace, right? It means that you show up with love and clarity. You listen, but you don't have to absorb all of that. You don't have to shrink down to nothing. That's what I'm saying. So, yes, grace is for them because we never know what someone else is carrying. Grace is also for you, but I also know that healing takes some time. And then all of the boundaries that keep you, you know, I would say the boundaries keep you anchored. They keep you anchored in being able to still love someone through it and not be resentful. Because remember, I said I used to get really resentful. They ruined the holidays for me. They ruined my favorite season. And it wasn't until I looked back and went, no, I kind of allowed that. I didn't know how to react. I didn't know how to truly have grace. I would have grace for like maybe a moment. I also did not have a gratitude practice. I waited to be thankful for things. So, the combination of gratitude and grace and grounded boundaries, that's where you want to live. And it's not going to be a perfect picture. It's not going to be about everybody being happy at the same time, but it's really about you being rooted in peace no matter what's happening around you. So, if we bring this in even closer, because, we're talking about some, I don't know, the word that keeps coming up for me today is tender. We're talking about some tender things. And I guess maybe it's just because I still have such a tender heart around this because I lived it for so long. I also know that when we start talking about gratitude, for some of you, your first thought might be, yeah, but you don't know what I'm carrying. You don't know what I'm carrying. Because I used to think that. So let's get really honest right here because I never want to paint this season through rose colored glasses. I don't. So maybe you are genuinely excited for this season. Maybe you're excited for the holidays. You love the lights, you love the music, the cozy nights, but a part of you is still feeling really anxious or overwhelmed thinking about everything that comes with it. I was even thinking maybe you're on the other side of that. Maybe you're dreading it. Maybe this season brings up a lot of old wounds and it brings up the grief or the loss or memories of people that you miss deeply. Because let's be real. This season can be complicated. You want to love it, but there is this pressure. There is this pace. There are financial strains that can come with it. There is grief that can come with it. And all of that can also feel at the same time really heavy. So I'm just going to say that wherever you are in this season, I see you. And there's no right way to feel this time of year. And that's the thing that I love about gratitude. It doesn't ask you to pretend everything's fine. It just invites you to find small glimmers of good within what's real. What is your reality? And it's finding those small things. Yes, there's big things to be thankful for too, but I'm talking about like when you're doing a gratitude practice, you're even looking at the smallest little things. So, if you are looking forward to this season, beautiful, soak it all in. But if you're quietly dreading it, that's okay too. You can hold both gratitude and grief at the same time. And then if you're somewhere in the middle, learning to navigate all of it, welcome. Welcome. You're in the right place. We're going to be talking about this on the podcast. On my Instagram page, we're going to be talking about this a ton because I really, really want to pour into women because I have lived this. I've lived in all different types of seasons. And I don't want to force joy. Okay. That's not what this season is about. It's about creating a real space for some honesty and and just whatever that looks like for you. And that's why this next part matters so much because gratitude and grace can't just be concepts we talk about once a year. They have to become practices that we live every day. So, as we close out today's conversation, I want to help you take this from idea to action. We talked about it, but here's what I want you to try this week: release to receive. Because before you can fill your heart, and if you want to get your piece of paper or take notes, this is the time. Before you can fill your heart, you have to make room. And what I'd love for you to do is write down 3 expectations. Remember that word, expectations, that you're ready to release this month or this season. It might be, I release the need for everything to be perfect. I release responsibility for everyone else's happiness. How many of us as moms are trying to make everybody else happy? You release that responsibility this year. I release my guilt for taking care of myself. I have to take care of myself during this season. I do. I recognize that. That is a must now for me. I never did that before because I was taking care of everyone else. And when you let go of what's draining you, you actually create space for what can sustain you. You cannot embrace the joy of this season, of this, a holiday. If there's a holiday, if there's something going on, you can't embrace joy while you're still trying to grip all of that control. So you've got to start with some type of release. I always say, make space empty so you can make space for more to come in, right? If we're at our full capacity, nothing else is going to be able to get in there. Also, stack gratitude into your day, just like we were talking about habit stacking. Once you've created a little space, it's time to fill it, but do it intentionally. And the easiest way to make gratitude a daily rhythm is through the habit stacking. So attach it to something you already do. Just like I mentioned earlier, when you're pouring your coffee in the morning, say one thing in your mind or out loud that you're grateful for. Just as you're pouring your coffee. It's that easy. When you brush your teeth, think of one thing that went right today. When you're going to bed at night, whisper just a thank you for one thing you want to carry with you into tomorrow. That is such a beautiful way to go to bed. That is part of my habit stacking. When I close my eyes at night, I just start saying all the things I was thankful for the day. And I'm already thankful for what is to come tomorrow. That's it. It can just be 3 simple moments throughout the day, but every single day. Don't miss a day. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And here's what's going to happen is that those small moments start to become that muscle memory. And before you know it, gratitude starts showing up automatically, even when things are flipping hard. That's what I love about when we build these muscles is that even when things are hard, we're still going, oh my gosh, I'm still grateful. I'm still thankful. And then, of course, another one is grace and boundaries in action. So take grace from theory to practice. Before you walk into that family gathering or a conversation or even a normal work day, pause and ask yourself, what energy am I bringing? What energy am I bringing? What am I willing to give? And what am I not willing to lose today? Because grace means that you're showing up with love. Boundaries means you're showing up with clarity. And you need both actually to stay anchored in your peace. Just keep telling yourself that. So if you find yourself around people who are struggling or who don't share your excitement for this season, remember this: I can hold space for their feelings without carrying them. You can love someone and still protect your own energy. I say this all the time. I did not know how to do it. You can be kind, but you can still have your limits. That's all of that emotional maturity that starts to happen. And that's what grace really looks like. So as you move through this week, I want you to remember something. Gratitude isn't about pretending that life is easy. It's about finding the beauty. It's about finding the lesson or even the breath of peace within what's real. So start small, start consistent, and stay consistent. And then let the grace do all of the heavy lifting because it will. And I just want to say, if no one's told you lately, you're doing amazing. Even if this season feels messy, even if you're still figuring it out, even if you're showing up with, this really hopeful heart, but you're like, I don't know if I can trust this. You're still showing up. Have grace with yourself. Take these practices and make them yours, and then just start to release what no longer serves you. Remember, you're going to release 3 things this season. Stack your gratitude into the everyday moments, and then just lead with the grace for yourself and for others. So, you guys, I am excited to be here for you, with you through this season. I am, I always have all of the fun things. I mean, I gotta say that I put together some different things on the Amazon storefront. And they're all the cozy, soulful things that help me stay grounded this time of year. And you can start to peek through those if you need some of that support. And of course, just know that you're not alone. Please be in my world. Community and support means everything. So you're not walking alone. We're in the Glow Up School. You can find me on Instagram. I've got lots of things going on through this season, and this is where we want to feel lit up. And just know that throughout the next few weeks, I've got some really special things coming for you. I have some big announcements, and I have a few brand new offers to help you step into your next chapter with confidence and joy and purpose. And let's just say, if you've been waiting for a sign to join me, Black Friday might just be it. So keep your eyes open, stay connected, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next. We're going to have some great episodes, because when we pair gratitude with grace, we stop trying to perfect our lives, and we start really living our lives. So, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Keep rising, keep shining, and remember, your best day is right here waiting for you. And I cannot wait to have you join me again next week. Bye, friend. Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review. And don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.